Okay, students, on to chapter 16. We only have two more chapters after this, but this is called IMC Management, and it's Integrated Marketing Communication and how to manage that entire process. Uh, let's get to what some of the key concepts are. Again, a lot of repetition here, but this overlapping may help you as you're creating the last parts of your paper for Grace Notes Foundation. So it's important to know that the stakeholders and the brand relationship is customer focused, and that is so important. We say customer, but we're really referring to all the people that are connected to the brand. Relationship marketing shifts the focus from a one-time purchase to a long-time involvement by all stakeholders, and that's really the goal of most products and services. Is we don't want some one-off try of a product or sample. We want you to come back and use our product over and over again. That's the idea of relationship marketing. So interactive communication is the glue that joins the brands and the stakeholders together. We know that a lot of interactive communication goes on in a lot of different ways with brands. But most of it needs to be sure that it is relevant messages that are delivered through media that has a positive experience for us as the consumer. So we get so many text messages and emails a day, a lot of which we just glaze over. What relevant message do we want from a brand that we like? You know, I think we talked about this in one of our exercises. You know, what is it that's going to get our attention? Is it going to be a for sale? Is it going to be something personal to us that makes us feel special? Brand relationships are indicators of brand value, what a brand is worth to both the company and the customer. So more on stakeholders and the brand. Negative impact can come from mishandling the type and amount of messages directed. So we know that if we get too many, we just start, like I said before, glazing over stuff and deleting things. The less relevant the message, the more irritating it becomes. So again, super focused. I'll give you an example. I received a email today from Chick-fil-A, and it was about mobile ordering, and if I ordered something via mobile pickup, that they would give me a free product. So they do a very good, I've said this before, a very good job of connecting with the customer and looking at the points that they've earned and connecting with them with relevant information, especially because it's the Chick-fil-A that's near my home. So here's a thing that is really important. It's called permission marketing. And it invites the consumer to sign up for messages, but it also allows them to, disconnect with them if necessary. It's no longer, as we've said many times before in this semester, a one-way communication. It's two-way. And the brands are becoming more involved in social communication, permitting us as the companies, the products, to reach out to our audience. We really can't go abusing that. Amazon's a great example of this, but again, if you get too many messages, we start deleting. And I've recently, when I have downtime, look at my phone and just say, take me off the list, unsubscribe me. Because maybe at one moment in time I needed that app or I needed that website, and now I no longer need it and they send way too many messages. So total communication. So that is really the goal of any IMC plan, is that we want a 360 view. That's the whole view. And everything should kind of interlock with the other messaging. Total communication programs monitor all these sources and brand messages so that everything is in sync. The message is correct. The message is going out as a 360 plan. And everything that brand does, but also what it doesn't do, can send a message. And we know that we can't not communicate today as a brand. But take a look at what Grace Notes is doing. How often do they reach out to their consumer audience for a campaign or an event? Should they be put on a plan of, every 2 weeks or once a week? What will work best for that audience that you've researched in your survey? So I want to give an example here of Apple. Apple has been ranked the best global brand because of its cohesiveness with hardware, software, retail stores to deliver one consistent narrative. Key words here to me that stand out are cohesiveness and consistency. So the next area we're going to talk about here is contact points. Again, we've talked about this in our field experiences. And a contact point has defined our understanding of media as a message delivery system. Contact points are the various ways a consumer comes in contact with the brand. Makes sense. This moves from not only the traditional advertising and marketing into more experiential contacts. And you should think about that with Grace Notes as you're thinking about what are the different contact points throughout the year. Maybe you have a 3, 6, 9, 12-month plan. And what does that look like? Again, there's such a fine line between overdoing it and then doing just the right amount. And it needs to come from a lot of different places. It can't just be coming from, print or just from social media. It has to come from a lot of different directions. So what are those directions going to be for you and your team? Moving from channels to contact points. Okay, INC planning is designed to maximize and leverage good contact points and minimize those bad ones. So brand touch points are contact points that touch our emotion. And that's also known as experiential marketing, where we use different events and even store designs, as we talked about before, to engage with the customer. Okay, we have them in the store in a moment. What are we going to do about it? We're connecting with them with the message. What are we going to do about it? But it's important to create an emotional engagement with them. And I want to show you here a YouTube video. If you've ever been lucky enough to go to the Soho, New York store for Nike, they have such a cool store. It's several layers with different experiences of showing off their sneakers, allowing you to try them on. They have a basketball court, a lot of videos, a lot of flat screens. It's just like one of those moments that it's like, wow, now I love the brand more. So it's an experiential experience. You're interacting with the brand in a different way than just, say, a commercial on television or social media post. So take a look at that. The synergy of the message, I can't tell you more and more how important that is. Brand communications about impressions and brand meanings evolving as messages interact and reinforce each other. Interact and reinforcement is really important here. They reinforce one another and have like an amplifier effect so that we see and hear this message in many different ways. Synergy happens when all the messages work together. We know that. Brand stewards as well as INC planners insist that strategic consistency be at the brand core and clear in every message. Again, see this consistency word comes up again. We can't have several different messages out there. It confuses the customer or the consumer. So keeping that main core message, maybe tweak it a bit depending on your audience. That's okay. But strategic consistency drives synergy, and synergy drives a brand impression, and brand impression drives sales. So brand is an integrated perception. Message synergy is the basis for seeing a brand as an integrated perception. People automatically integrate brand messages and experiences. It's a natural process. So integrated perception is this. It's just the way we make sense of things. And that's how the brand impression is created. So companies work very hard to create these impressions on us. And I'm going to give you some examples here. What do you think when I say Taco Bell, Mountain Dew, or Apple. You consider the images of who uses those brands, where they're positioned in the marketplace, and messages that you've heard in the media or word of mouth. So all of these things together equal integrated perception. Internal integration is just as important, that the people that are working together in a company, whether it's the art director or the other people that are involved at the ad agency, all those departments, as we've said in the past, all need to work together, so that the message is the same message, okay? That's called cross-functional management. And when we talk about working in teams, in the workforce, whether it's an internship or your full-time job, how important it is to bring all those departments together, maybe in a weekly meeting so that everybody's on the same page. This delivers unity and vision of a vision and the foundation for the consumer's integrated brand perception. So an integrated brand is one that has brand integrity. So you may have heard that word a lot, integrity, but it's more believable because what they say and what they do all match, okay? Through media stories, word of mouth, testimonials from satisfied users. Being a good corporate citizen is also part of this, building that brand reputation, and integration leads to brand integrity. I have a quote here from Chipotle. They do a lot in their ads now, if you've noticed, that really brings together that freshness, that, they cook the product on the premises right there, they cut the product, and they show like a spotlight of different employees at the company that get there a certain time in the morning to get everything freshly chopped and used, with no GMOs and product that is organic and all those other good buzzwords. So that's brand integrity, but that also has to match. You can't just say you're going to do all this. Panera does the same thing with their clean ingredients. All the other parts that go with it, the messaging, have to be in sync with that, and that equals your brand integrity. The IMC campaign planning, a key objective to create consistency among all marketing communication tools and platforms is spherical branding. Again, there's that 360. Means that no matter what your angle or of vision, the brand always looks the same. So that's a good visual for all of you. No matter what angle you look at, this brand looks the same because you're planning, have a 360 planning, and you're looking at the brand from all different points of view and making sure it's consistent. An IMC campaign is a complex set of interlocking coordinated activities with a beginning and an end. So you're thinking of a campaign plan, okay? Just like your advertising messaging. An IMC campaign plan, it's going to look a lot like what you're doing for your creative brief. You outline your objectives, you use different marketing communication tools, you convey different but complementary messages, and depending on the media vehicle, the same message is being delivered in slightly different ways. That makes sense, okay? Depending on your target audience, you have tweaked it. So the baby boomers are using a different vehicle versus the Gen Xers or the millennials. Each one of you has been given a different age group to work with for your campaign plan. But you have to make sure you're consistent across the board with your messaging. A typical plan includes, much like this advertising plan, a situation analysis. Again, just as a reminder, situation analysis is just like what's happening currently in the marketplace with regard to nonprofits, okay? In your case, it's what's happening in South Florida with nonprofits, and then you start out really big in the funnel, and then you kind of dwindle it down to grace notes. Okay, so what's currently happening? For example, how many nonprofits are there in South Florida? How many nonprofits deal with music? How many nonprofits deal with children? So that's like what's happening out there, okay? Number 2 is key strategic campaign decisions. 3, your mix. Message strategies next. IMC media and contact points. And management and campaign controls. So we're going to look at each of those. And again, this is part of your project, in that at the end of your project here, you're talking about the whole picture here, not just your advertising message, but what is your IMC plan. And a lot of you already have this information, so it's not that hard, okay? First, you already did a SWOT analysis. We know that the primary tool to make sense of information and identify key brands or products and problems, okay? Strengths and weaknesses are internally focused. Opportunities and threats are externally in the marketplace. And the idea here is to leverage your strengths and opportunities and address those weaknesses and threats. You're already kind of doing that, so look at it in the same way for your advertising plan. Situation analysis. The strengths of the business are positive traits, conditions, and good situations. It could be, we have a great board of directors. We have a large endowment. We are very unique in that there's no nonprofit for children and music. Our weaknesses could be the traits, the conditions, the situation that is perceived negative. It could be, we don't have a good board of directors. We don't have a great website. We don't have collateral material. We're not reaching our target audience. Opportunities is the area in which the company could develop an advantage over its competition. What are we doing, or what could we be doing, actually? A threat is the trend or development in the environment that will erode the business unless a company takes action. So a threat are other nonprofits, because when we think of our share of wallet, where's our money going? How can we make our target audience think of Grace Notes first when thinking about making a donation? Key communication problems, okay. Planners look for communication problems that affect successful marketing of a product as well as opportunities. IMC can solve only message-related problems such as image, attitude, perception, and knowledge. And a campaign must create a desired brand impression, influence people to respond, and separate the brand from the competition. So really, in the end, that is what you're trying to do, right? As your project, influence people to respond, to donate, to participate, to volunteer. Why is our brand different from our competition? And create a desired brand impression by coming up with a new jingle, coming up with a messaging post, coming up with a better website, things like that. A strategy can focus on branding, positioning, countering the competition, or creating category dominance. So that's a strategy for you as well. What is your strategy? You want to position Grace Notes in a different place. You want to set yourself apart from your competition. The strategy may be designed to change consumers' perception and the brand's price or price-value relationship. Now, in our case, you know, if you're not aware of the product at all, then you're not changing anything. But maybe the perception out there may be something different than we really want. And you only find that information out by, you know, surveying people. And this is for the big picture of marketing for all of you, because clearly your surveys are already done. But what are people's perception of this? Is it that it's too small, that it's not catering to a large enough area in South Florida, that you know, they're not affecting enough people? So you have to take those weaknesses and threats and put them into an opportunity. The strategy may also seek to increase the size of the market or the share of wallet, as we said. Objectives for this type of campaign strategy: every campaign must be guided by specific, clear, measurable objectives. Remember, measurable here is how effective was our campaign? How do we know? How do we need to benchmark, for instance. So the way you know you did better from last year is we do things called benchmarking. So how many donations did we have last year? How many events did we have last year that helped us pull in donations? How many likes did we have on our Facebook page? How many tweets did we get, or make? So these are the kinds of things that we can benchmark. What did we do last year and what are we going to do better this year? And we do have to measure our objectives. That is a goal of your project. Now, some of this stuff may be made up a little bit because, we have a short semester and it's a summer class and we only have so much information. But logically, from the information you found out from your surveys and your secondary information, and you're working together in this project, what are some things that you can predict as a logical goal? You know some of what was done in the past, and now you're planning for the future. Now, don't overblow it, but be realistic. Okay, so these are examples of out-of-home media effects. Effective campaigns use media to stimulate consumers and activate their responses, as we know. And this is just kind of illustrates the impact that innovative media plans can deliver. So they can create a buzz, provide memorable connection by bringing creative messaging to life in an experiential way, engage the customer with fresh messaging in order to build a strong relationship, surround the customer with a lot of different touch points, where they live, where they work, where they play, and entertain the customer to forge a strong emotional connection. I think if you really think about all of this, a favorite brand of yours absolutely does this for you. If you really think about it, how do they connect to you in a lot of different ways? Okay, so targeting and engaging stakeholders. So stakeholders refer to that group of people who have a stake in the success of the company or brand. Okay, so an employee, a board of directors. So employees are really important to a company because they need to buy in. Okay, because internal marketing is also really important to external marketing. How many times have you gone somewhere and you looked at the employees and they're really into the product, they're into their brand, they're interactive, they grab you and show you and sample and do all the fun things. Then you're other places where employees aren't even paying attention to you. They're not making eye contact, they're having a conversation with someone else. So I have an example here of Trader Joe's, but I could also do Whole Foods and certainly other companies out there. But how do they rise to the top every year after year of being voted the best company to work for? Trader Joe's and Whole Foods both have wellness programs where if you keep your weight at a certain amount or eat right, you get discounts. You get certain points. There's all kinds of contests that go on to keep everybody on track. And in stores like that, especially a Whole Foods, you really need knowledgeable employees because people are going in there with dietary issues that want to know about calories. They might be vegan, they might be gluten-free, they might be diabetic, whatever it might be. So the more educated employee you have, the better. Okay, again, there's some repetition happening here clearly, but message consistency needs a heart, core, soul, or DNA, a central concept around which messages can be unified. This is called the essence of the brand. It makes the brand different and distinctive from all other brands. So what is its position? What does it stand for? Effective INC plans lead to profitable long-term brand relationships. These aren't one-off kind of things. So the main areas of an IMC mix are all listed here. Every single thing we talked about this semester. So be proud of yourself. From advertising all the way to customer service. We talked about every little part of this, some more in detail than others. So message strategies are matched to the stakeholders based on insights into what interests them. This is why you created your survey. Message strategy decisions support the campaign, your objectives, and your direction. So when you tell me in your paper why you chose the strategy that you did. It always goes back to your research. It's supported by the research that you've done. Strategic consistency comes from a creative theme and the consistent presentation of the brand position and personality. When most people think about media, they think about traditional mass media and advertising. So media planning in an IMC context does more than just that, okay? Media also involves an engagement, a connection with the consumer. I think we all have a real understanding of that at this point, okay? It's not just that traditional one-off 30-second commercial or that radio ad or that flat print ad. No, it's more. We're engaging and connecting in lots of different ways. Using multi-channel, using multi-platform, okay? You know that you're using a lot of different platforms this semester. I'm going to kind of move on here. Managing contact points. It could be experiential media, conventional media combined. Here's a great example. Coke had a viral Share a Coke campaign. It's one of its most recognizable and effective integrated marketing campaigns to date. And I think we're all kind of guilty here looking for our name on a can or bottle of Coke. So the brand used this clever campaign hashtag Share a Coke, across all social media channels and published effective videos that transformed the phrase into an all-inclusive experience which highlighted a sense of pride and sense of personal ownership. So really fantastic. Share a Coke, yet if you can find your friend's name, you know, that was fun too. And they continue to do this. So that's a great example. Cross-media integration means that you're using various types of media at work. You know, as we said, you've got to hit them on all sides. Here's an example. It's a little bit dated, but it's going to give you an example. And that's all I really want you to have here. So True Blood, an HBO series. On this YouTube video, you're going to watch how they promoted this series from a lot of different directions, using a car company, using print, using television. So there's a lot of different directions they came, but you can see how they got everybody hyped up for this new series. I never did watch this, but it's a great way to show you that a company that is promoting something, whether it be an HBO series or a product, can't rely on one direction or even two. It's got to come in a lot of ways, okay? So in order to manage the IMC campaign or program, a manager must keep up with a highly complex set of tasks. So that's why you need that, that person that's overseeing everything and keeping the budget and the schedules and the evaluations all under control and on track. So budgeting and scheduling depends on the organization. And the area it serves, the time frame, and all these kinds of things go together. The budget determines how many stakeholders will be targeted, how many media platform will you use, and the length of time of the campaign. As we said before when we were talking about length of time, what makes sense for a nonprofit? You know, there's definitely information out there in your secondary research that tells you that certain times of year we want to donate more than others. Okay, a lot of times around the holidays, we're thankful for what we have. We want to give back. Also, there's other times that may connect directly with the organization. Okay, so it could be a natural disaster that happens where they need our donations. In the case of Grace Notes, it could be holiday time because there's music. But, you know, let's try to think of some other ways to connect with them all year round. Evaluation, again, we need to evaluate our work and we need to be accountable for our work and put some parameters around it. Okay. Managing 360 communication programs. It's an ongoing multi-channel, multi-platform, multi-stakeholder approach. That's a lot of multis going on there. But it is a 360 approach, unifying the brand. It's very difficult to do. And that vision must be shared by everyone involved with the brand. We talked about that. Okay, so let's talk about mission marketing. This is a concern for social issues. It's increasingly important for profit companies, not necessarily Grace Notes here, to be good citizens, okay? To have a positive brand reputation out there, and giving back, okay? It's called cause marketing. An example is Avon gives back to breast cancer research. Dove has a Real Women campaign, and it might not always be something that's monetary, but it could be like boosting our sense of value. Okay, and that's what Dove does as women. Okay. There's more on here, mission marketing. So we know we have a mission statement for Grace Notes, and we are tweaking that again to reflect the commitments of this business. But a mission marketing links a company's mission and the core values together and connects the customer. Mission marketing contributes to the synergy through brand integrity again. So I have an example of mission marketing for Tide, as in detergent. And what they do is they have an event several times a year, depending on where they're needed, called Tide Loads of Hope. And they go around and they basically do people's wash when there's a flood, when there's a hurricane, when there's any kind of natural disaster that happens and people can't help themselves. And they also are connected with a dry cleaner, which I think I brought up before, here around South Florida. And they also collect clothing for people that do not have clean clothes to wear. So that's another thing that they do. They wash those clothes that you donate and they get them to the right place. Okay, so the integration triangle in mission marketing identifies 3 key aspects of brand communication. Okay, these must work together to create integration and integrity. Number 1, what the company or brand says about itself is saying, how the company or brand performs is doing, and what other people say about it confirms it. Okay, so it's say, right, do, confirm. So internal integration is also important, as we've mentioned. Departmental silos are barriers in integrated planning, okay? Everyone has to be cross-functional and connect as a team. Same with all of you. You cannot work in silos on this project and cut and paste your project together. It has to be cohesive. You have to work as a team to create this project. Same thing when you're working on an advertising plan. Also, another thing of concern for a company is that they may use different ad agencies for different products, and they want to make sure that they're also in sync. So there's a lot of moving parts happening here. Okay, this is our last slide. So kind of reiterating, a cross-functional brand focused team involves members that interact with the customer, the stakeholder, and the outside agencies, like we said. It operates with one vision. It plans marketing communication. It monitors the impact of it and tracks the responses. The marketing communication manager is one of the people in charge of planning these brand building opportunities and making sure everything is moving in sync. So that is it for this chapter. We have 2 more to go. You have a quiz coming up. I believe the deadline's August 1st. And then, of course, your paper that is due August 3rd. And finally, the other piece that goes with this is that you will be evaluating your team members honestly and letting me know what you give them out of 100 as far as participation as a team member. And that will affect the final grade of each individual in the group if there is a consistency across the board. So thank you, and I will see you at chapter 17.